It was on my list to attend a big-time football game, that's soccer for you folks in the United States, while I was in South America. In Lima, I was invited to attend a game in exchange for shooting videos and photos at the game. In addition to saving me the price of admission, I would feel safer going to a game with someone who spoke fluent Spanish and had attended many games and knew what to do. We took an Uber from the Miraflores area of Lima, where we all happened to be staying, to Monumental Stadium to watch the game between the club Universitario de Deportes of Peru, commonly called simply U, and the Millanarios of Bogota, Colombia. The game was not part of either of their leagues or had any impact on their standings. A friendly is what they call it. It's what we might call an exhibition or preseason game in the NFL or Major League Baseball. Ryan, my host who runs the Lima Football Tour, said that the stadium holds 80,000 spectators, making it the second largest stadium in all of South America. He also said it was built in the year 2000, but it looks much older, having none of the amenities of modern U.S. stadiums. The bathrooms, for instance, had concrete trough urinals. We had standing room tickets on concrete risers. It reminded me of going to the Pitt-Penn State game at the old Pitt Stadium, which was built in 1925. The Stadium Monumental looked about as dated. At Monumental Stadium, there were luxury boxes, very few of which were occupied for this friendly. There were assigned seats with seat backs, but those were much more expensive. One section of those had a silhouette of Teodoro Lolo Fernandez, U's most famous player, created by different seat colors in one section. For a moment, I thought it looked like Darth Vader. Duh. There was also a statue of Fernandez outside of the stadium. The date on the seats in the far end zone refers to the founding of the team, 7 Augusto 1924, and the 29 in the star refers to the number of championships the U team has won. The stadium was less than half full, which was probably just as well in terms of crowd control. The authorities were prepared for trouble. I have been to 2 Olympics and some World Cup games, and I have never seen such a police presence at any sporting event, or even at the LA riots. My friend said that there has been so much trouble in the past that alcohol sales are forbidden at the stadium and at most sporting events in South America. The section of Colombian fans was completely surrounded by police, and all the police inside and outside the stadium outnumbered the Colombian fans at least 5-1. There were dozens of buses that had brought heavily equipped police to the venue. They had cops on horseback, and they had halcones, Hawks, the fast response motorcycle SWAT team. In the stands, people were smoking cigarettes and pot all around us, and some guy, clearly on drugs of some sort, tried to pick the pocket of one of the men I was with. But the police showed no interest in any of that stuff. They were just there to prevent a riot that showed no signs of starting. The enthusiasm of the crowd was electric. I can only imagine how wild things get in a game that actually means something. The people sitting in the reserve seats were much quieter and more subdued than those in the standing area who cheered and sang non-stop for 2 hours. Even during halftime, the loyal fans drummed and cheered and chanted. Around the stadium was a lot of art. I'm not sure if it was planned by the stadium or is graffiti by fans, although the latter seems unlikely since someone would have to pay to get into this part of the stadium and there were a lot of police around. A lot of the art was very well done. A surprisingly amount of the art paid tribute to places far from Colombia, including many places in the United States, especially New Jersey. I wonder why. The football fans I was with didn't know. The swastika is backwards and of course is a symbol that was used in many cultures to denote the 4 winds or the 4 compass directions before the Nazis turned it around and ruined it. But seeing it anywhere is still a little startling. The action inside the stadium was nonstop, and the referee was letting them play what a friend of mine used to describe as Philadelphia street basketball rules. No autopsy, no foul. There was a lot of dirty play, and none of it was called by the referees. No penalty kicks, no cards, either yellow or red, although I could see several blatant attacks that should have been called. I didn't mean to sneak my camera with the long lens into the stadium, but I'm glad I did. I was able to get much closer shots than my phone would have allowed. The guy who asked me to bring my camera to get some good pictures thought that a lens above a certain length was not permitted. They were judged professional cameras, but he was sure my shorter lens would not be a problem. His friend from Finland, who joined us partway into the game, was very surprised to see my camera, saying that such things were banned at professional football games, and he wondered how I got it past security. I told him about the accidental distraction I had created that allowed me to get in. I carry my passport, credit cards, and any cash beyond my immediate needs in an inside-the-pants wallet so they can't be pickpocketed. As we passed through security, we got patted down. The security guard's hand hit the lump under my pants. He wanted to know what it was. I started to unbutton my pants to get the wallet out to show him, and he sort of freaked out, I guess sort of fearing I was going to expose myself, and he waved me through to get me away from him. None of the security people asked me to open the drawstring backpack where my camera was. Unlike an American football game where there would be hundreds of photographers all around the field, here there were maybe a dozen scattered anywhere near the field. A lot of the amenities we take for granted at U.S. stadiums simply aren't there. Choices of food at the snack bars, for instance. And there was only one scoreboard, and even it didn't have a clock to keep track of the game time. It did have a large screen, and from where we were first standing, down closer to the field, we could see it to watch replays, as this young man in front of us kept doing. But when we came back from halftime and stood closer to the top of the stadium, we could no longer see the board. Ryan suggested we leave a little early to beat the crowd and get an Uber before they were all taken. We had just gotten outside of the seating area when we heard the roar of the crowd. Universitario had just scored a second time. The game ended a few minutes later with the final score 2-0. It was a fun experience to see a football game live in a country that really loves their football. The crowd was as exciting to watch as the game. Subscribe so you can follow along as I continue to explore South America. Lots more to see and do.